Hey everybody, welcome back. If you watched our last video, we left on a kind of weird note here. Our app looks wonky and we need to make some serious fixes to it. But never you worry, because I got you covered here. Here's what we're going to do in this tutorial. We're going to get advanced here. We're going to create a custom widget that will create a fixed size and dimension icon, so it'll look more like the layout that we chose to do. And it's going to include a scalable vector graphic and a label, and we're going to make it more modular. We're going to create a custom widget class that we will then use to create our new icons. And so we're calling them icons, and so let me tell you about why we're doing it, how we're going to do it, and then we'll actually do it. So the reason why we want to do it, there's two reasons why, actually sort of three reasons why. One, it would be nice because we're going to have very common functionality, right? Every one of these little icons is going to be like it's going to be like a button, basically. And if we could, I would just make them all buttons. If we were able to just use the SVG graphics to be the background and add the text, that would be great. We can't. Okay, so that's part of the reason why. We have to make it a custom one because otherwise we could technically create a layout, like a vertical layout, a VBox layout that would put the SVG on top and the label underneath. And in a way we are going to kind of do that. But I like the idea of having a hover effect when I hover over it. And through a lot of experimentation, trial, error, pain, and suffering, I discovered that you can't really add styles and create like hover effects and things to layouts. You can do it to widgets, but not to layouts. And that led me to a discovery that if you you basically create a custom class that is built off of a widget, then we can put a layout into that and we can apply our styles to that outer widget. So we're basically creating a widget that contains a layout that contains the SVG and the label, and the whole widget will function as a button. For today's tutorial, I'm just going to focus on that custom widget and we'll use it to add all of our icons. So the first thing we need to do is come up with a name for this custom widget and start creating it. Okay, so let's do it. I'm gonna leave that open for, no, I'm gonna, okay, whatever. All right, so we got our main window here and that's about it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new class. We're just gonna put it right in here. Maybe that's not best practice, but for my sake, I want to just get to the code part here. And we're gonna call it an icon widget because it's a widget that is also an icon. Now, if I wanted to get even more fancy, I could call it an icon widget button, but it's a widget, it's an icon. I think I'm okay with that. All right, now this is going to be based on a Q widget. So it'll inherit all the properties of a Q widget, which means we can style it, we can make it clickable and add mouse events and things like that to it. Very handy. And we're getting all, I don't know, we're going to basically do a little inheritance. And there you go, icon widget. All right. Okay, so for our case, we're just going to focus on just getting the piece in place. So we're going to create a constructor. And we're going to go ahead and do our init. Whoa, look at that. Parent, blah, blah, blah. All right, when I did this, I did not put in all of this code. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. This is what I did do. Okay, so one of the things we got to think about, and before we get much further, I'm going to get rid of that. And keep it like it is. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, so what I want to do here on this widget is, if you think about it, each widget, and let's take a look at this ugly display we have here, it's going to have a label and it's going to have an SVG. And if you look here, they're all of them are called whatever underscore avatar. All the labels are based on here. So here's what we want. We want to be able to customize it. So every icon widget will have its own unique name or icon type, and we're going to use that to generate the label and all the other pieces that we need. So we just need one more parameter when we construct or make our icon widget, and that's going to be the icon type, and that's going to be a string. Because then from that string, we can then use our code to generate what the avatar path is and all that good stuff. So icon type, and I am going to use my type annotation. Okay, I added a little doc string to talk about the fact that this is going to be a custom clickable widget with a picture and a label with the list of what we're using. So we're going to take the icon type, and I want to just talk about what we're doing here exactly. So right now, when we create our SVG widget, which is just an SVG, we had to give it the full path, right? If you look here and I highlight, you can see that that's getting repeated every single time we make the SVG widget. And if I highlight here, this is also being repeated. The only thing that's original would be, for example, pixel_art, or adventure, or bots, or croodles, or identicon, or Lorelei, or rings, or shapes. Everything else is repeated. So what we want is we want to give it just the right information so that we can customize every single icon. They all are going to be in the resources/images folder. Since they're all going to be in the same folder, we can add that part to it later. All we really need is the type of icon it's going to be. So that's why we have this icon type. Now, before I start using that and building that out, we also need to create a graphics scene and a graphics view in order to display this icon widget as a widget. And so we're going to go up here and we're going to add those to the library. Graphicsscene. Did you notice what I'm doing? I typed out QGRAS. And I love it, the fact that it can find anything that has the GRA and an S in it. And so it's one quick way. You might have seen me doing that. There you go. It just speeds up your process there. So we have two objects we're going to create. All right, in order to do this, we're going to go ahead and set the scene. And so in order to set the scene, what we want to do is create a self.scene. Equals, we're going to make that a QGraphicsScene, like so. And we're going to go ahead and create our file path. The question is, do we need file path outside of the widget? If we did, we would put a self dot in front of it. I don't think we do. So we're just going to go ahead and just put file path equals folder plus, okay, so, oh, wait. Before we do that, we need to create the folder path. And this is just what I'm doing, sort of set this up. So that's going to be in resources/images /. All right, so that's our folder plus the icon type. And then we're going to add that underscore avatar SVG. Again, we're looking for, the stuff that never gets repeated, like the path or the underscore avatar.svg. The only thing that's unique each time is that icon type. We could have just as easily put resources/images in place of the folder if we wanted to. That was just a space-saving type idea here. All right, we're going to create our avatar SVG, and the key to this one is we're going to use that file path, and we're going to set a fixed size. So we're going to go ahead and create this avatar SVG. This is all internal to the icon widget. And we're going to go ahead and create that as a QSVG widget, giving it the file path. That creates our SVG. Now we're going to fix the size of it. That was our problem in the last tutorial. So it's fixed size. We want to make it both width and height. We'll have to double check and make sure it doesn't make anything look weird or wonky, but I think that should work. And now we're going to set the title. So title equals, we're going to take that icon type. Now the title we want to get rid of, what we want to do is that, what is it? There is pixel_art. and we don't want to have the underscore when we display the label. So if there happens to be an underscore, we're just going to put a space in between. And so it's icon type dot replace. This is a standard string method. We're going to replace the underscore with a space, so that it will say, in the case of pixel art, it'll say pixel space art, not pixel underscore art. Looks weird, right? So we're just kind of fixing that there. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple of items. We're going to add the button and the title to the scene. And then we're gonna do this. This happens. I don't know what they call it. There's a name for this, but we're just gonna go ahead and write label text, and we're gonna add the text to the scene, but we're gonna store that text in the scene as a variable that we can then set the position. This is thanks, I'm pretty sure, to some of the articles on Python GUIs. And so we're going to take self.scene and we're going to add text to the scene. And that's where we're going to put our title. Now that we have a variable that represents that text which is in the scene, we can now set its position. So we're going to take label text.setPosition. Now, you are so lucky. Set POS is really what it is, because I explored all of my values. If the SVG widget is 60 by 60, we want to put the icon, I discovered, about 10 pixels over, and then we're going to make it 64 pixels wide. So believe me, I tested it all out. It seemed to be the right number. You may want to change numbers when you work on yours. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the avatar. We want to add it to the scene and set its position. So we're going to basically follow that same pattern. Avatar SVG, because we already created the Q widget up here, equals, oh no, we're going to change this to avatar widget, because now it's the widget itself. And we're going to, because this needs to be a separate variable, self.scene dot. This time we're not adding text, we're adding a widget. Now look at all the things you can add to a graphics scene. All right, we can add text, widgets, simple text, rectangles, polygon. So this might be good if you wanted to have like a rounded, well, not a polygon would be rounded, but you could do an ellipse to make it sort of like a rounded button or whatever. There's a lot you can add. But for our case, we're just going to add the widget now, because avatar widget is a widget. And that's where we set the avatar SVG. So we just added it to the scene, and now we can set its position, avatar widget dot set POS. And I believe I wanted to move it 14 pixels over, 6 pixels down, so the avatar is on top and the text will be below, which is why 64 pixels pushes it down. As you may recall, we'll see if that fits. And if it doesn't, we can adjust it. Okay, we're almost done with our icon widget. We just need to finalize putting all of our items together into the widget. So what we're going to do is we're going to create what's called a graphics view. And we're going to make that a variable so that we can add it into a vertical box layout. View equals Q graphics view. And when we create it, we have to put self.scene, because we put the scene inside the view. And the scene, of course, was when we added widgets and text. All right, we got that part there. And now we're going to create a vertical box. Okay, so for this, we need to add a VBox layout. So that's Q VBox layout. Because we're just going to vertically line them up top to bottom. VBox equals Q VBox layout. And then now we're just going to just create it, and then we'll add our VBox.add widget. And we're going to set the view inside the widget. And then we're going to create the layout. So we're going to use this vertical box layout as the layout for the widget, if that makes sense. Remember, the view now becomes that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. we're going to do self.set layout. And in the layout, we're going to put that vertical box in there. And we're going to go ahead and set a fixed size. And this is the total size of everything. So you want to keep your math all straight. Set fixed size. And when we account for the 10 and the 60 and the 64 and the height and all that stuff, I found out about 110 pixels wide by 120 tall seemed to be about right. Now I save my changes. Okay, so this is the code we need for our custom widget. So now, in order to create this, all we really need to know is the icon type, that unique text. And if you look here, these are all SVG widgets. We're going to replace these all with icon widgets. So I'm just going to double click in here and start typing out icon widget, and then I'm just going to copy and replace. Actually, check this out. So this is, we're going to get a little fancy here. All of this is getting, well, we want to take all of this and we want to replace it all with just icon widget and a quotation mark. So watch what I do here. Let's do this again. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to do Control H. So every time we see that QSVG widget, it's Q icon widget and just quotation mark. There are 8 of them. Notice how they're all highlighted here, and I can count there's 8, so I can do a replace all. Great. Now I'm going to take everything that ends with underscore avatar SVG. Q. Oh, it's just an icon widget. Dang it. Okay, let's undo that. Just icon widget. I forgot, it's not a Q. This is my doing. Ah, there we go, it's green, it likes it. We're going to do the same thing. Replace all underscore avatar.svg quote, like so, with just quote, like so. There are only 8. You want to count and make sure you're not going to like go or replace something else. And I'm going to save my changes, and let's see what we got. Oh, look at that. Okay. In the last tutorial, I talked about Fusion. Let's get rid of Fusion. Get rid of that style. We'll run it one last time. Okay. Oh, right. We have a gray background and we got white here. Okay. But as you can see, things are starting to take shape. Now, I spent a lot of time talking about creating custom widgets, and I wanted to get to this good stuff here. So, we ran out of time, and so in my next video tutorial, what I'm going to do is add style to all of this, and we'll make our final touches on getting this to look the way it's supposed to. And then I think it's only 2 more videos to go. There's that one, and then the one about getting the functionality to work. May take more than 2, might take 3, but we're almost there. Thank you so much for watching.